Welcome back to Yanks Abroad. A quick background if you're new here. Will's an Arsenal fan. I'm a Tottenham fan. I think that's all the background you'll need for today's episode. We're going to recap everything that went on in the Premier League. We are going to recap what happened in Leg 1 of the Champions League and preview Leg 2. And then, of course, an Americans Abroad update at the end. I'll give you the floor. Curious to hear your thoughts. We'll start, obviously, at that Arsenal match.
I mean, I think it's tough because you have to find the balance between utter head loss, disappointment, and starting to overreact and say things like, Arteta's not the guy to get us over the line.
Are people saying that?
That is most of the discourse on Twitter. I have not been able to open the Twitter app today. I mean, since the match yesterday.
That to me.
Well, it's just like.
That to me is like just.
No, it's miserable.
So insane.
It's miserable. And like, people are trying to compare what happened yesterday to what happened last season. And it's not the same at all. That first half, we should have put 3 goals away. It was an absolutely dominant first half performance. Whereas last year, the matches where we dropped points to Southampton, to Brighton at home, we showed up and gave them goals inside the first minute by just passing them the ball.
Yep.
Like, we're not talking about the same thing here. What we're talking about is what we've been talking about for a while, and that is we don't have that clinical finisher that when you need it, he is there. And even Trossard, who I know you love and who has been excellent for us, he made 2 huge mistakes in front of goal, and it cost us.
My only thing with that is...
Martinez made an insane save.
Right, and it's like, when you have a ball whipped in and you're 2 yards from goal, it's kind of just like, get your foot to it, and you just hope that it doesn't bang off the goalkeeper.
If Gabriel Jesus missed that, you would not be saying that. I'm just saying, that's true. Trossard, and I think that's fine. Trossard should get more leniency because he scores from so many more ridiculous spaces. Yeah. I'm not blaming Trossard. I'm not blaming anybody. This is what happens.
No, it is a fact, though. That
I honest to God, and this is, I will admit my wrong, I forgot what makes City different than everyone else, and it's that this doesn't happen to them. They're the only team in the world this doesn't happen to. Yep. You know what? And if they win the league, they'll have gone like 32 matches unbeaten to end the season. And that's what if you can't beat that, that's okay. Like, that's a bar that, like, Pep is the greatest manager of all time. It's okay if we're not going to beat the greatest manager of all time. I'm upset and very disappointed, especially since, as we were saying for a couple weeks, like, you could see the Liverpool collapse coming. They were playing basketball games. They were not going to be able to control. They don't, like, that's the thing. Arsenal still controlled that match pretty much up until the last 8 minutes. Unai Emery coached a brilliant second half. He completely took away Martin Odegaard out of the game, who was dominant in that first half of the match. It's disappointing, but, it's not over yet. City just draw one more match, and we went out and we win the league. So I'm trying not to have absolute head loss yet. Very, very disappointing day yesterday, but it is what it is. Yeah,
I was actually reading some stuff after the fact. I watched a TikTok, and it's just, like, so insane that the run that Arsenal's on, and then after an extremely tough match at midweek, and then you play at the weekend against a very tough opponent. Whether or not you get the best Villa or the worst Villa, you can get the best Villa and you run into this situation. And it's like the fact that the standard is that you absolutely cannot drop points and can never lose a game is just so insane and goes to show, like, Man City, if they do it again this year, I think they'll go down as maybe the best team of all time.
I mean, 3 in a row is insane. 4 in a row.
4 in a row with potentially 2 trebles. Like, the fact that you're competing with that, I think, is amazing in itself.
I agree. The fact that we're competing with Manchester City is great. And at a certain point, yes, it will be. And we had this conversation last week, like, what is the bar here? Because the bar is so high. And I think, honestly, this is another thing that discourse is just so annoying and impossible to read any of. But, like, I think Arteta kind of said it quite well in the post-game press conference. He said, that's the standard of this league, and that's what makes it the greatest league in the world. Like, in any other league, if we were on the run that we were on, you're 7, 8, 9, 12, 15 points clear potentially. We have 1 loss in 2024. We've allowed 3 goals in 2024 in the Premier League. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the things we're doing are insane, and they're just not good enough. And what's most frustrating is we dropped 5 points to Fulham, 6 points to Aston Villa.
Yeah.
We took 8 points off of Liverpool and City.
Yeah, as much as I wanted to come in here and, like, shit on you and do all these different things, like, the only reason is to last week when you say we're clearly the best team in the world. That's the only time where it's like, you guys are amazing, but as you said, City don't do this, and that is exactly why they're the best team in the world. That's, I think, is the clear differentiation of this weekend. I mean, they obviously played Luton, and if Haaland doesn't smack it off that guy's face, maybe it's a different game. But yeah, I think it's extremely tough. moving forward,
Well,
do you
I just
think
wanted to say something about the best team in the world thing, because I was thinking about this after that loss. I'm thinking this is going to be the worst fucking thing. I have to go record Casey. He's going to fucking roast me for saying that. But I honestly still stand by that. At that moment last week, we were the best team in the world over the past 4 months. It's okay that in 1 week that the standard changed.
Maybe off of recent form, yes, but I guess more best team in the world, you're looking in the past, present, and into the future, like the rest of the season. You knew that, as you just said, this stuff doesn't happen to Manchester City, and that is the big differentiation. And they rotated their squad, which was really important. Granted, they had Luton and not Aston Villa, so it's a little different.
We rotated too, if you think about it.
What? Because
we didn't start. I think rotation is kind of an interesting word, because that isn't the lineup we've been going with all of 2024.
Yeah,
it may be what people think is our best lineup if you were just looking at it on paper, but most of 2024 it's been Kivior, it's been Jorginho, it's been Havertz at the 9, not Jesus. It has not been Trossard. I'm just saying.
So Trossard started over Martinelli. Can we agree with that now? He's fit and back, and he started over him.
We lost the match.
Fair. I mean,
I'm just.
Do you think Martinelli would have been a difference?
I don't think anything would have made a difference. That first half, you play that first half 5 more times, we score 2 or 3 goals.
By the way,
first half, the other 4
so
times.
I was working Sunday, and I only got to watch the first half and then watch the second half highlights. But I watched the first half. We got out of our Uber, we're getting ready to work, and I went to go take Arsenal live. That's how much you guys were dominating. I was this is a foregone conclusion. The fact that I'm getting the value of the second half line, they hadn't scored in the first half. I thought, granted, I didn't think it was going to be Gabriel Jesus finish, but it's either you guys get that penalty or there's a set piece that you guys score eventually. Just we've seen it time and time again, and obviously it didn't come. But yeah, I really thought you dominated, and Villa, who didn't have their starting midfield with a lot of their structure, I thought you guys were gonna run through them, and I saw that in the first half. Thought it would continue in the second. But do you want to touch on Zinchenko, because he's getting?
Zinchenko and Gabriel were absolutely shocking, and the more I was kind of looking, I was doing my normal rewatch, and then I was looking back.
My normal rewatch.
And then I was looking back at the past few matches that Zinchenko has been involved in versus not involved in, and for whatever purpose, and I haven't quite figured out yet, is whenever Zinchenko plays, Gabriel seems to have way less calmness on the ball and make the kind of bozo mistakes that he had made the first couple years at Arsenal, that he had kind of eliminated this year, which had put him in the world-class conversation. And then the last 2 matches, Bayern Munich and Aston Villa, Zinchenko comes into the side, and all of a sudden Gabriel's bozo gene comes back.
Is Kivior hurt?
No, I think the thing is, Arteta wants to try and control these games and whatever, and Zinchenko is the guy to help control the games versus Kivior. Right. But, at this point, Zinchenko is kind of almost unplayable. He was absolutely horrendous in this Aston Villa match to a level that I have not seen an Arsenal left back since fucking, Nuno Tavares.
Yeah.
He just had no calmness on the ball. 3 times he tried to dribble out of our own box and lost the ball in our box, and almost every time a goal called.
The 2 videos of him, trying to, clearly not trying to hold the line were some of the...
the first goal is because he is standing 8 yards behind the defensive line. Is absolutely... That is worse than losing your man behind by staying in the line, because the rest of the defense has no idea that you're back there, and they don't know that there's all this space.
It's
incredibly...
It's weird that Gabriel isn't as calm on the ball when, in theory, it should be in defense. He should be getting out of position a little, maybe covering for him. But in possession, Zinchenko's in theory better than on the ball than Kivior.
I think
it's weird that happens.
Well, because if you look at it, instead of looking at it as the flat formation of a setup, when Zinchenko's in, oftentimes Gabriel's now pulled further out wide and has more space between the middle of the pitch and the edge of the pitch in which he's trying to. His passing angles are different because Zinchenko's stepping into midfield.
Whereas it's
when
Ben White
Kivior's over here, Gabriel's playing more as a center back of the 3, and so he's always got the option of Kivior on his left.
Got it.
He doesn't have that option necessarily when Zinchenko is inverting in midfield. He has to make a much harder decision in terms of passing the ball, and it's cost us. It cost us in the Bayern game. He gave the ball a personal opinion. I think that was an absolutely disastrous decision by Gabriel, and we haven't recovered. And I worry. I will be okay with not winning the league if we go out and win the next 6 matches or win 5 of the matches, whatever it might be.
Do you think this affects you going forward, or do you think this team is strong enough to bounce back?
I mean, it affected us last year. I'm just going to be honest. Like, the mentality completely, we lost the mentality. We had done it 2 years in a row because we did the same thing the year before when Tottenham got top 4 over us. I don't know. This team should be mature now. They've brought in, Declan Rice is a mature and a leader. Odegaard has really become more of a leader. Havertz has won it almost everything in the world. Whatever you want to say about Havertz, he's won. He's been there. You'd have to.
I understand what it should be. Do you think this team will recover?
I do,
because
I think we go and win. I get through at Bayern. I just think this team isn't going to be just rolling over at this point. I mean,
what makes you think you'll go to Bayern and win versus what happened at home?
I mean, what happened at home was we had 8 minutes of absolute nonsensical things happen that have not happened to us basically since the turn of the year.
But big nights,
I agree. I just think the likelihood of that happening again, to me, isn't that high.
Okay.
And I don't see a world in which Arteta goes out and puts Zinchenko at left back.
But that's also the difference between a Bayern and if you give them all they need is 8 minutes, 2 chances, and they'll finish them. That's the difference.
100%. But, we absolutely dominated that game again.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we go to Bayern, and I don't know if I think it probably goes extra time. I don't think we're going to go out there and just fucking dominate them in Munich. Maybe it's penalties again. Raya saves the day. I don't know. But their defense is just so awful. I mean, Eric Dyer is one of the worst players in the world.
Correct.
And we were able to pretty much limit them from controlling possession out the back the entire game with our press. And I think we're going to go out there and do the same thing. We're not going to do what we did against City and sit back. We know if we press them, we can win the ball back easily. And if they're going to beat us on the counter a couple of times, maybe they will. But
I think Coman and Gnabry are both out.
But
so
Sane's the one that was really killing us.
Yeah. So it'll be probably Sane, Muller, and Musiala behind Kane. All right, you want to move to – so Man City, not much to talk about. Took care of business.
Man City are just going to keep winning.
Liverpool,
we need Tottenham to get a point against Manchester City so fucking badly.
I know.
Did you see that tweet? That was like Tottenham's line up against Man City. It was Vicario at center forward.
Yeah. So the tide has turned a little because you kept talking about how we need you, and now you need us a little.
But you also need us.
I don't know if that's like a foregone conclusion. We have a tough run-in, but like Villa...
Oh, I know, but like there's a good chance that 5 at this point will not...
I know.
Liverpool are out. Villa, West Ham are going to be out.
Yep.
Villa are going to be the only potentially the only team that goes through. I mean, City Madrid was an insane UCL Champions League match.
Insane.
There's a really good chance that you need us to win the Champions League.
So do we want to? Did you watch the Tottenham match?
Yes.
Your thoughts?
I think, as you like to say, it takes more than one match to become world class. I think you maybe overrated Van de Ven a little bit, and Romero.
No, I don't. Just because he slipped, it's not like he was awful all game and was out of place positionally and different things. First off, he was put in horrendous positions by, if you actually watch the first goal, lined up with a 2v2, and then it became like an X because Romero stepped to the ball. He put him in an awful position. That one I think was less Watkins and more of a slip. And then, not Watkins, Isak. And then the second one, Pedro Porro passed it to, he pretty much assisted the goal. That one, I think he got done by the feint. But no, I don't think it's too early because he had one bad match. I think he's still the third best center back in the Premier League for me, and I don't even think it's close. You're not allowed to have one bad match.
Saliba, him?
Yeah. I mean, I think that is the least of my takeaways from that game. Timo Werner is so fucking bad.
Timo Werner is so inconsistent.
So I was trying to figure out what is wrong with Tottenham when things go wrong, and I finally figured it out. Well, there's a few things. First, Basuma was maybe the best 6 in the Premier League for about 5 matches and has fallen off to levels that I cannot even explain. He is lost. And in a team where there's a lot of transition, having a 6 that can see 3 passes ahead and understands if he loses it there, I need to be here because he's going to play this ball out here. He's clueless. So he's the worst 6 to have in this setup. And then what's most important is when we play this high-level pressing style, where it's a lot of recovery, but it should be recovery out of like bad positions. So in theory, you keep the ball deep in their box or deep in their side of the field. And then when we lose the ball, we have people on them, but we lose the ball so easily because Timo Werner loses it so easily. Son has been atrocious. This is the worst form I've ever seen Son on. They get the ball back so easily to where we're not high enough up the pitch, and we lose it to where they have time to pick their head up and play passes that break lines when you're supposed to keep the ball. And when they get it, you have two people on them. They're just huffing it down. And that's when Romero's pace and Van de Ven's pace and they're covering. But when they can pick their head up and just ping balls through the midfield and then out to the attackers, it's absolutely lost, and it's so disjointed. People who think Timo Werner is a good football player, I think, should never watch the sport ever.
Well, I have two things. Number one, I think the Basuma thing was Andrew's a new manager. Nobody was used to this new press structure that Tottenham was bringing to the Premier League. That's why they had so much success in those first 10 games.
Yeah.
And so that kind of overshadowed the fact that Basuma's not a lone six.
No.
So teams weren't really quite sure how to play through your press at the moment. No matter how good your press is, there's always going to be a way that teams can watch tape and figure out the best solutions, and they have figured out those best solutions, which is exposing Basuma. That's one thing. I don't know that we need to talk more about that. I think you agree with that.
No, he's
My second thing is, at what point are you worried that this will take more windows than you believe it will, because your attack kind of is at a point where it's going to need to be revitalized completely, because Timo Werner is not going to be...
No, he's not the answer.
And Son, at this point, if he's not finishing, is kind of not adding anything, so you're down a man.
I don't have a problem with his finishing.
His finishing is great. I'm saying if he's not getting the opportunities to finish, you're playing down a man.
No, he's almost in a Holland territory. But
and I think the fact that him and Kane played together and Kane was able to drop deep kind of overshadowed that aspect of Son's game for a long time, that you didn't have to worry about.
Well, no, I think he's getting older.
He's lost some pace.
Yeah, he's lost some. He used to run at wingbacks and beat them consistently because he could go both ways.
Right, he used to play on the wing more often.
He could play on the wing, and he could beat you in so many different ways, because if you let him cut it on your right, you're dead. And then if he gets to the byline, his left foot crossing is just as good as anyone else's. So now him at striker, he doesn't have the physical presence to like hold the ball up. And the thing that his first touch is just horrendous.
It always has been. I'm sorry. It always has been. I actually have tweets about this going back like 6-7 years.
I don't know if it's always been this bad, but you can hide it a little out on the wing because it's not as congested.
Oh, 100%.
The space is not as congested. As a striker, you need to be very tight with the ball, and it either needs to be one touch off your foot back into Madison or Sarr or Bentancur, or you need to be able to hold the ball up multiple touches.
Center forward,
which he doesn't have. So, to your point, it is going to take multiple windows, because Udogie is starting to show his youth, and he's making more mistakes. I think he's still going to be brilliant, and I think he still is brilliant. But the first goal, that is absolutely unacceptable.
Off the top of my head, Udogie has been at fault for at least 5 goals, just him specifically this season. That's a lot for any defender.
He's been pretty bad this season. I saw Pedro Porro's getting a lot of hate because there was a statistic about him getting dribbled by.
Well, I think we've been saying this all year. What makes Udogie and Pedro Porro so great is their attacking prowess.
I think Porro is actually good defensively. Like, I think that's a little bit of a misleading stat. But yes, I agree.
He's fine.
This is going to take multiple windows, because we need a 6.
You're 4 more windows from really competing for anything.
I don't know if it's 4.
You mean you could compete for like an FA Cup or a League Cup, but I don't think you're going to win.
Oh, for the Premier League?
You're 4 windows from your squad being able to be considered one of the best in the league.
It just matters if we get it right, because we need...
Well, you have to get it right.
Right.
I'm assuming you're getting every single transfer right.
Oh, well, we only need a 6, a striker, and a left winger to start actually competing.
You need 2 midfielders.
I think, like, Sarr's...
But here's the thing. I agree Sarr is good and Madison is great, but Madison, is going to miss 2 to 3 months every year.
Madison is... He was so good against Newcastle for a team that was so bad.
He misses 2 to 3 months every single season. You need...
Yeah,
that's the thing about because I just went through this with Arsenal. The rebuild, you can't have one player for every position, because you are going to lose players, and when the drop-off in each position is so great, the whole team falls apart when somebody falls out of the 11.
Yeah. No, I think Kulusevski is a good option centrally. I think people are starting to realize him as a winger is just not sustainable. But what I was thinking about post-match, as much like that result sucked, I woke up at the crack ass in the morning to watch us get beat 4-0. I thought that, like, I'm going to London and I'm going to watch us get absolutely thrashed by Arsenal. My only hope is that we don't play a match now till...
Yeah, it's crazy.
And you guys play 4 matches.
Insane.
It'll be your 4th match.
Yes.
Playing against us. And at home, like, hopefully we've been just tactically, we're set up extremely well because we have so much time to prepare. And that's our only hope, is the fact that we're going to be extremely fresh in front of our home crowd. It's like a huge match to essentially knock you out of the title race. So I think we have a chance just for those reasons. But if you put these 2 teams in a vacuum at a neutral site this coming weekend, I think we'd lose 5-0.
I mean, for sure.
It's our set piece defending.
Your set piece defending, and
our
also
corner kicks. We've never gotten to the ball first on a corner kick.
Also, like, the way you play is the exact perfect way for us to play through a team. You're going to play a high line. The only teams that have been able to stop us are teams that play a mid block, and you do play the opposite of a mid block. So I couldn't be any less. That match I was never concerned about. The only reason we're going to lose that match is not going to be about anything on the football pitch. It's going to be up here if Arsenal can't get their fucking heads in there. No,
it's going to be an insane atmosphere, and I think the boys are going to be, like, fired up for it. Like, the Newcastle match, it just seemed like a lack of want and trying.
I think, and we spoke about this a few months ago, like, the difference between the title race and the top 4 races, between you and Villa, you're both going to drop a lot more points.
Yeah.
Like, it isn't the necessarily
No,
you need
it
to go
wasn't.
get 3
I didn't feel
points
like it was
every
the end of the
single week.
world.
Yeah.
But, like, it was essentially Newcastle's B team. Their midfield is, other than Bruno, is
completely injured.
And their defense is
completely injured.
And it's their backup goalkeeper. I mean, Gordon, Barnes, and Isak, I think, is actually a really good front three.
Well, it's also the perfect front 3 to attack your team, because they just get in behind and get in the 1v1s that they were able to get into. Honestly, just to wrap up kind of the whole Premier League conversation, I think the striker market this summer is fascinating because Osimhen at this point has had a pretty horrendous 3 or 4 months, and I wonder if anyone's willing to spend the money on him.
Well, I think his price tag has dropped a tad.
I think it has to. I just can't imagine someone spending $100 million on what he's done the last 2 months.
No, and I think after Napoli, they're not going to get Champions League.
Yeah.
They are in a position to where they're going to not have to, and I obviously don't know their financial status, but, like, Osimhen, like, it's because if he has another bad season, the price almost gets split in half. So it's like, oh, like, he knew he was on his way out. Like, he's still going to be good. He wasn't fully in it. We weren't good. He's still worth X. But if this is 2 seasons in a row, I think they're going to sell him for.
I mean, I think he just goes to PSG because PSG will kind of pay whatever. At this point, I just don't think a Premier League team is paying that kind of money for a guy who's not playing well enough. I don't know. Nicholas Jackson is scoring goals. Chelsea may decide with their. Atrocious. He's terrible. I agree, but they may just decide with their financial situation to not sign a striker.
Yeah,
I think the striker market went from being like one where everyone's going to be in on to like.
Well, I think it's deep though between Tony,
but it's not deep in where like it's good value for money. Like Sesko, as great as Sesko might be, probably gonna be $55 million for.
No, his buyout is 50. I think that's pretty good value.
I mean,
for 20.
Arsenal are supposedly really in.
That's who I want. That's who I was talking about on the transfer episode that I want. All right, so just to wrap Premier League, where do you put?
I think we. I shouldn't say this, but I think Liverpool is pretty much out.
I don't think they're pretty much. They are.
First of all, let's just talk about it for a second. Them losing 3-0 to Atalanta in the Europa League.
I didn't watch the match.
This
but
fucking.
Just like,
did you see all the Liverpool fans after the Arsenal Bayern Munich draw? They said it's really sad to see the Premier League teams that are in the Champions League this year embarrassing us, and then they lost 3-0 to Atalanta at home.
And the worst thing is they're losing in different ways now. Like, we thought it was going to be these track meets that they would just lose eventually. Losing a 1-0
to Crystal Palace at home
is really, really bad.
Adam Morton, though, is a hell of a player.
I mean, their goal was great. Like, it was a great team play as a good finish. But, like, I even took Liverpool live because these Liverpool teams, it's like a foregone conclusion that they were just going to find a way to win that match. And the fact they didn't even get 1 goal is insane to me. It's just a different team. Salah looks awful. He's on
well, here's the thing. Klopp keeps pushing Salah further and further out wide.
Yeah.
When the reason Salah was so dominant for all that time is because he was an inside forward. He kind of rejuvenated the inside forward position that had been gone since Thierry Henry's days. That, like, you can receive the ball in the half space and also have a center forward who plays a little bit more as a false nine. They brought in a true center forward or two true center forwards and pushed Salah way out wide.
Well, yeah.
He's lost a little pace.
We love Darwin, but like this is what you get with Darwin, and it's coming at the worst possible time.
It's the same issue kind of Arsenal's having where like, honestly, and it's like, I feel bad for both Arsenal and Liverpool because in most times you would be fine dropping points. You just cannot afford.
That's the reality of having the best team in the world in your league. And this is why I have consistently said and have never strayed from it that Man City was going to win the Premier League because they're just a different level than everyone else. And it's just...
They find a way to win no matter what the circumstances are.
Yeah.
Even when they were not playing their best football for 6 weeks and we were talking about it, they found a way to win matches.
All right.
Also, Liverpool had a 10-point lead 10 matches ago.
Yeah.
That's an absolute bottle job that nobody is talking about.
Yeah, people are saying Arsenal bottled it. Like, as much as I hate Arsenal, and it makes me so happy that they lost, like, it's not a bottle. Like,
we lost one match in 2024.
I agree. It's just the reality of... But the only thing is,
if we
the Arsenal fans, you can't have it both ways, because Arsenal fans talked about, like, this is ours to win.
It
like,
is.
We're the best team in the world.
Agreed.
And then... when you drop one game, it's like, oh, this is the Premier League. Man City's the best team in the world.
There's a difference,
like,
though, between...
You can't have it both ways. Like, it's got to be, that was absolutely unacceptable.
Oh, completely unacceptable. There's a difference between bottling and disappointing. We did not bottle the league.
I agree.
Like, if we were to win out,
I'm disappointed with our performance against Newcastle. Like, but it's not absolutely unacceptable.
Well, I mean...
There's levels to it.
The second half was absolutely unacceptable from Arsenal. And Arteta, he got it completely wrong in the second.
But that's the difference, is Man City has a goal after that first half the way you guys dominated.
Yeah.
And that's just happens to be the difference. Because if you let teams like Aston Villa stay around long enough, things like that,
and
you're
also,
susceptible to things like that.
I, for a while, was... And I think these transfers were good transfers, bringing in Zinchenko and Jesus 2 years ago, because it brought in a different mentality to the squad. People who had been in different positions than we had been in, belief, trust, all of these things.
But Man City doesn't sell.
You are seeing why Manchester City sold these two players.
Right.
Especially...
The only mistake they've made is Cole Palmer.
Let's see. Listen, I think Cole Palmer is excellent. And I'm
How much
not
did they
just
get him
saying this
for?
as a troll. No. I've said this. Cole Palmer for years.
No, I know. But
I just think
I'm not stamping him as world class, but like, regardless of what happens the rest of his career, it's a good transfer. You can see how
for Chelsea,
the class he has.
But let's just see what Cole Palmer does when Chelsea are not a mid-table team. I'm serious.
I'd imagine he only gets elevated.
Here's the thing. It's much easier to play when teams are not playing low blocks and mid blocks against you. You have more space.
No, don't disagree with that sentiment. But like
Ollie Watkins doesn't have these amount of goals and assists when he plays for Arsenal.
But if Cole Palmer's in an Arsenal where you have all this time in an opponent's box, he makes more of it than other players do.
I think it's here and there. I just think it is.
I think if Chelsea's dominating games,
let's see Cole Palmer do it on an important match in an important time for his club. Haven't seen it yet. Let's hold everyone to the same standards.
Yeah, I mean, he just doesn't have the chance to play
big
matches.
That's what I'm saying. So before we stamp him
how long till Chelsea is playing in big matches?
If Cole Palmer's for real, it should be pretty soon.
He's not a one-man army. All right, let's move to the Champions League because we didn't get to talk post leg one.
First of all, let's just go through the other matches. Atletico is going to walk through.
I mean...
They gave up a late goal, but...
It should have been two.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, behind the yellow wall, like, I don't know anymore. I don't know if that's...
Simeone's men are mental warriors.
No, I'm with you. I just wouldn't say that's a foregone conclusion that they're going to win that tie.
All right.
Like, their attackers look good. I would still take Atletico Madrid with the goal.
I think they're
but, that's going to be a great match. And then Barca PSG.
How big of a fucking bitch is Xavi? Did you hear what he said after their win?
No, stop asking me if I'm going to stay?
No.
Oh.
He goes, it's truly incredible that, a team like us were able to go and beat Paris. They're still the favorites to win this.
I don't hate a reverse jinx.
Come on, it's Xavi and it's Barcelona.
No.
This isn't Graham
It shows-
Potter and Brighton.
No, it shows to go where the mentality of Barca's
That's
gone
what
for
I'm saying.
sure.
But it's not like some random person who's the manager of Barca. We're talking about one of the biggest legends
I'm
in
with you.
Barcelona history.
That's
if
bad.
I'm a Barcelona fan, I'm like, this guy is the weakest fucking sauce
Well,
I've
I
ever
think
seen.
it may be like a little dig to how people like. I would say 95% of pundits and journalists probably would have said picked PSG to win that tie.
Yeah, we did.
Us including. Are we pundits? I also think they didn't have no Hakimi, no Zaire Emery. It wasn't their starting lineup. PSG. I actually think they'll turn it around. And like
At the
Rafinha's
camp
not going to have
in Barcelona?
Yeah, I don't think Rafinha's going to put on a world class performance. Mbappe had like
Mbappe had one of his worst matches I've seen.
he lost the ball 15 times, and then like that won't happen over two legs ever. So
I think it'll be fun, but
who do you think?
I think Barca will probably go through. I
Yeah,
think it's going to be hard to go there.
I'm taking
and
PSG.
win.
Is it? They're not like set up. Like I think Araujo's fantastic, but Pau Kubarsi is
I think
really
it's
good
just
too.
really hard to turn around a tie like that. But PSG just aren't mental warrior. Like if it was Man City going there, I'd be like, Man City are going to win.
I actually think it's
I
a
just
different.
PSG are mental
like I
midgets.
think they're so young and naive to their
I mean, if Mbappe wants to fucking make a statement, he has to go out and
I think he will.
win them. I would
Because
love
I don't
to see
think Lewandowski can do it over one leg where he could like put you away, but like you're not getting a Rafinha masterclass over two legs. I don't think.
Well, let's see.
Yeah. All right. To the English sides.
First of all, I just want to talk about City Madrid for a second. I was so locked into Arsenal Bayern that I didn't even see the highlights to City Madrid until 2 days later.
2 days later.
I was just like so locked in. I didn't
my
realize
God.
that was the greatest UCL match
Ever.
in the last 10 years.
Ever.
Literally insane. I saw one tweet before I had watched the highlights, and it was like 3-3, and the XG was 0.75 to 0.8. I was like, this must be a troll tweet. And then just kept
They
scrolling.
just have like a different.
The two of them have
teams-
played some incredible Champions
Oh my
League nights
God,
in the
it's
last few years.
absolutely insane.
I'm so upset like they're playing the same night as us. Like I would have loved to
I
watch
know.
both matches. I
Yeah.
just can't. I can't. I got to be
Two
dialed
TV
in.
setup.
I got to be dialed in. I can't.
No, of course. Who do you think goes through in that?
City.
Yeah, obviously.
Honestly, though, I don't know. Madrid,
Nah,
as we
it's
were
gotta be
saying,
City.
Madrid just lives for the Champions League.
They also
But now City are at home.
they're at home. As we've talked about, it's not an excuse because they're all $100 million players, but like it was not their starting back line, especially Kyle Walker.
He's not going to be back, is he?
I think he might be. Am I making that up?
I think you're making.
I saw
that up.
something on Twitter that he would be back.
I mean, even if he's back, no way he's going the full 90. He hasn't played in a few weeks.
But yeah, okay. I thought he was back because that would be huge against Vinny. But I take Man City just because I have no reason to doubt them. And as fantastic as Real Madrid are, like you don't have a Benzema and you don't have a Ronaldo. So is Rodrigo and Vinny those guys? Maybe this is them stamping it, but not for me.
I want City to go through because at the chance that we do go through, I'd rather, first of all, not have to go to Madrid. I'd rather go to City than to Madrid. I think Madrid's a much harder atmosphere to go to the Bernabeu
young
as
team,
these
yeah.
kids who have never played in the Champions League in a semifinal. I think the lights might be too bright. And City, we've already played them enough this year to. I think that would be more fun.
Yeah, that would be a ton. I mean, both. I just don't want to see Arsenal go through.
What
not for
chance?
hate
What chance do you give us to go through? Honestly,
against Bayern.
Yeah,
I
because Bayern have not lost at home in the Champions League or something in like. 20 years.
I think it's a coin flip. Bayern aren't good. I just don't think.
What did you think, Harry? How do you think Harry Kane was in that first leg? Take away the
So-
penalty goal.
Unfortunately, I was in a meeting for the first half,
Okay.
but I did watch the second half. Granted, I made this opinion off of only the second half, so maybe that was immature of me. But I thought he picked up the ball well, sprayed it out, linked up play, and I thought he was really good in relieving some of Arsenal's press and pressure. Is that what you saw?
I mean, I thought he was fine.
Oh, I thought he was brilliant in the second half at least. I don't know
think
what
if-
happened in the first half.
I think if you put any other center forward in there and, Arsenal, who should have won that match, I think he's getting absolutely roasted for doing nothing.
Interesting.
I thought he was extremely poor.
I mean, granted,
For
how
most of
many
the match.
strikers in going to Arsenal become relatively invisible against a Gabrielle and a sleep. And not that it's not an
but
excuse
usually
for the
get,
second
like
player.
When Holland ghosted against us in every match, he gets absolutely roasted. The media
But I don't
Harry
think he
Kane.
ghosted the way Kane did.
No, well, because Kane just generally gets more involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
I just think you take that penalty goal out, and I think he would have gotten a lot more hate. And we don't need to talk too much about the Saka penalty because it's old news at this point. Whatever.
Well, I would like to touch on it. I understand that move 3 other times.
I watched all 3 of them, and that's just pure bias if you're watching that and think that that's his move. Are you aware that your greatest club player ever is one of the biggest floppers in the history of the sport?
He admitted that he would have won his team the penalty.
Issue I have with this is again a little bit of a
by the way,
there's a little bit of a race thing here going on that they're calling what Saka does diving, and when everyone else does it, it's crafty.
Okay, fine. You want to make that stamp across social media? Sure. But between the two of us, let's have a debate where Saka could be green and it wouldn't matter.
But here's the thing. It can be a little bit of a looking for contact and a penalty at the same time. Every 100%. Other sport, that is how it goes. And in this sport.
That's what I was about to say.
Neuer's leg is lifted. Saka should go for his leg. That is being crafty. But
he didn't step forward. He lifted it and then placed it back in its place.
It doesn't matter. His leg is directly in Saka's route. If Saka doesn't...
Is that how Saka runs?
Yes. Casey, when you're planting
the way
on one
he was
foot,
taking that next foot, he would have fallen regardless. That wasn't a correct way to catch yourself and continue running. The way he threw out his leg.
He's running at 100% speed. He planted and is trying to cut around Neuer. Yes, his leg, he left it out a little bit.
A little bit?
He left his leg out.
Okay,
that is how you play the sport. That is how you get penalties. That is how you score goals.
But this goes back to what I was saying about the Jesus penalty. And you called me crazy because if this was given a penalty, you probably would have said the same thing about the Jesus thing where it's 100% a penalty. When I was saying with the Jesus thing, if it wasn't called a penalty on the pitch, I don't know if VAR would have overturned it. This is the exact same situation. It was called on the pitch but VAR didn't overturn it.
It's actually even crazier that the ref called that not a penalty on the pitch. That means he thought that there was no contact.
No. It means he thought he saw him leave his leg out.
Then it should have been a yellow card. That's simulation.
Sure, but...
So he didn't see that. He could... No. Those are the only 2 options. Either he thought it was a dive or he didn't think there was contact.
Wrong, because clearly he was reffing off vibes.
Of course he was. He's a Swedish ref who's never had to control VAR before. He doesn't know the fucking rules. The Champions League got a fucking disaster of a ref.
I don't think it was a disaster. I think...
He was awful both ways the whole night.
I think 75 to 80% of people agree that was the right decision, that it wasn't a penalty.
I completely disagree with you.
Because you're on Arsenal Twitter.
My entire Twitter is telling me that that's not a penalty, including Arsenal fans.
Right. That's my point.
Social media is irrelevant in this.
No, I'm talking about...
Every single pundit...
No, not true at all. Not true at all.
Rio Ferdinand hates Arsenal. Thought it was a clear penalty.
Yeah.
Harry Kane hates Arsenal. Thought it was a penalty.
I don't know if he was saying that.
The 2 people who hate Arsenal the most thought it was a penalty.
By the way, Harry Kane saying he thought it was a penalty is a little bit...
This is like when you said De Zerbi was just being fucking humble.
No, Harry Kane saying that is more high-level mental fuckery than him actually
Harry Kane is a dumb fucking idiot. He does not have any high-level mental fucking fuckery. It was a clear as day penalty. They missed the call.
But it wasn't. You cannot say that was a clear as day penalty.
I'm sorry. I don't know another team that doesn't get that call.
Oh, so now it's an Arsenal thing?
Of course, it's a fucking Arsenal thing.
Oh my god.
We get the
pick me club.
Since VAR, we've been most fucked. If you look at the points of VAR fuck ups, we have been the most fucked club in the Premier League. They forgot to draw the lines once.
Okay, and do you want to touch on the handball?
Yeah, that's a total fuck up as well. The ref was terrible both ways.
Okay, so that's.
But can I just say?
That's why I'm saying that.
Wait.
One way. That's why I'm saying he could have saw the contact and didn't give the yellow.
But can I just talk
because
to you?
the same way he was reffing off vibes with it was a kid's mistake.
I think that's
a 10 out of 10 pen versus yours is a 5 out of 10 pen.
Complete opposite. Ours is a 10 out of 10 pen. The actual rules of the sport clearly state if it is not advantageous, if there is no danger in the play, then it is not a penalty. It was not advantageous for Gabriel to do that. There was no danger in the box at the moment. It did not change anything. The ref and the VAR must have made a decision or they missed it. I think they just missed it, which is the mistake. The ref should have seen it It should have gone to VAR, and then they should have made the right decision, which was no penalty. The ref completely missed it, which is just shows you how stupid the fucking ref is. That was my issue.
He said he didn't miss it. He said it was a kid's mistake.
Group chat of people roasting Arsenal.
He said it was a kid's mistake. He didn't miss it.
He was just covering his ass. VAR didn't look at it in the match.
I understand.
So he didn't see it.
Well, maybe he didn't send it to be
No,
checked.
he didn't see it. VAR missed it. It was just
by the way, I don't want that to be called a pen, but if there's any pen shout from that game, it's that one and not the Saka one.
It's just hard to talk about this,
because you're extremely biased.
Yeah.
And I'm biased as well, but
what'd you think of the Harry Kane elbow to the face?
Accidental.
You
thought that was on purpose?
Did you actually watch it or no? I'm just wondering if you actually saw the replay.
Yeah, of course I've seen it.
You don't see him look back at Gabriel and then wind up his elbow and fucking sock him in the face?
I don't think that's... I know people want to push the agenda that he's an extremely dirty player and everything.
He's not a dirty... Well, he is a dirty player, but specifically in 3 matches... In 3 of the matches he's played against Gabriel, he has elbowed him in the face.
How many times have people raised their arms to get ready to jump on a 50-50 head ball, and that happens...
Wait, but
that happens daily.
He didn't jump or go for the ball.
That happens because he had already hit him.
Because he had already done what he was trying to do and knew he was
That
happens
happens daily. People just want to push an agenda. That happens daily. That exact contact happens daily in soccer.
I think Harry Kane is a little bit of a dirty player, but I think he does it not because he's a scumbag. I think he does it because he's a gamer and he's trying to gain any advantage he can gain, which I completely understand.
Would you have wanted a red card from that?
No, I didn't call for anything other than the clear penalty that wasn't given.
Yeah, I just don't think.
And nonetheless, I'm just saying that's not why we're not in the lead in this tie.
I know. I just wanted to discuss it.
We made 2 huge mistakes. We should be dominating for other reasons. I'm not going to blame. If we go out, I'm not going to blame it on that penalty. I think there have been plenty of times where we have not gotten calls and I have blamed it on that. That is not the situation. I think that's a penalty just in its own world.
And what about, you just think he's smart in the sense of this has happened repeatedly?
Who's he?
Saka. There's 3 or 4 different...
The Southampton one, he gets pulled from behind. That's why he goes down. Everyone's looking at the contact with his right leg. No one's looking at the fact that someone's grabbing his shoulder.
Well, clearly, it's not in the same frame, so clearly it happens.
Right. Well,
takes
do you know that social media isn't all real?
I'm just saying, it happens. I'm saying the fact that they can pull the video.
You're making me want to just grab the entire highlight tape of Harry Kane's 2-foot jump dives where he got every penalty or half of his fucking Premier League goals.
So be better at diving. It's a skill. Agree.
No, just be, the media star boy in white and you get the calls. That's clear. That's seemingly the case.
So the Swedish ref hates Saka because he's black.
I'm not saying that.
That's kind of what
you're
saying. The
discourse on Twitter.
Right. Discourse on Twitter versus what the actual call was. I think
media narratives play a very large role in the subconscious.
But I don't think that Swedish referee is deep in the toxic British Twitter space.
I don't just mean toxic British space. Toxic British Twitter space. I mean the toxic British media space. I mean, how about the discourse of Saka limps off after?
Oh, that's amazing.
But you realize
he pulled another limp off against Villa.
Do you know how many videos are of Foden limping off the pitch?
No one was talking about Foden.
That's what I'm saying.
That's how deep in his head you are.
This is just a fucking racist narrative of a fucking young black kid. It is. I'm sorry. How about Messi? Have you seen all the videos of Messi limping off the pitch in his matches in his career?
I think it's due to the fact that it's every time he drops a stinker and they lose.
A stinker. So when he limped off in Bayern, when he has scored one of the best goals of his Champions League career, that was a stinker?
No.
When he had an amazing match?
But then
how about the fact that
the 2-2 was a bad result?
How about the fact that at this point, there's a very good chance that he's going to have to pull out of the England squad for the Euros and have surgery on his Achilles?
What comment are you looking for? That's the reason he's limping?
His Achilles is completely fucked.
So maybe they should take him out of the side. Let him get healthy.
And then so we can start the discourse that he's ghosting the title run?
Well, I mean, he already ghosted it.
Oh, he ghosted it. Okay.
That's done. I mean, how was his performance against Villa?
He was great in the first half, as was the rest of the team, and then the rest of the team was terrible in the second half.
Right. Maybe you need your guy to be like, I'm not going to let us lose this match in the second half, even though we're not dominating possession. I have the ball in their box every single touch. Maybe you need that guy. I don't know.
Okay.
Do you need that guy?
I'm not going to get into a discourse with you about whether Bukayo Saka is that guy. He certainly is that guy. He's dragged us from absolute misery of 12th, 10th, 8th place into title contenders back-to-back years being our best player.
Okay.
He's the starting right winger for England, the third best team in the world.
Well, apparently not. Predictions for your final Champions League predictions? All four matches.
Madrid, Barcelona, City, Arsenal.
All right, I'm going.
Atletico Madrid,
Atletico.
Barcelona, City,
Yeah,
Arsenal.
I'm gonna go Atletico, PSG, Bayern, and City. I think, as we've talked about,
I am a little worried that Bayern just beat us like 3-0.
And you touched on, like, if there are fragilities showing in the mentality of this young Arsenal side, there is no worse time or place to be going off of a fresh 2-0 loss that doesn't take you out of the title race, but people are pushing those narratives, and you know they hear it. Then you go to the place that has haunted you. Has it not?
Sure.
What do you mean, sure?
It has haunted us.
Yeah, I wasn't like, that's not trolling.
None
That's
of
just
these
a fact.
players are there, but yes.
No, but that is they know.
Sure.
They know the score lines. They know it's going to be talked about. And there's no worse time and place to be going to Bayern. That's the only, if this was being played at a neutral site in a vacuum, none of these results had happened with the 11s on the pitch, I would probably take Arsenal.
Needed this team during COVID.
So you're admitting that they're mental midgets.
I'm not admitting that they're mental midgets. I am starting to get worried that there are some mental fragilities, as you mentioned. Here's the people who I've seen mental fragilities in. Zinchenko, Gabriel, Jesus.
Martinelli.
Martinelli's not playing.
Right, he just sucks. You're right.
Jesus Christ.
All right, I look for, where are you, should we do a live watch?
I know you were going to want to do that.
Of the Arsenal match?
I just can't do it.
See, this is his, just so you guys know, this is his dedication.
Can I just say something?
This is his dedication to the content. He won't.
I've watched every Arsenal match this year on my couch except for 2.
Mm-hmm.
In 2024, I've watched every Arsenal match on my couch except for 2.
Okay.
Bayern and Villa.
Oh, so he's pulling the...
If you want to come bring the setup to my apartment, we could do a live watch.
I'm honestly tempted to. That would be amazing. What do you think your reaction is? Are you like an angry reactor or are you sad?
Insane.
Well, you just
Randy has to like leave the house sometimes.
You don't get just like sad and mute. You'll like get angry.
So the year we bottled top 4, that match against Tottenham,
where
we got the red card, I drank like a whole bottle of wine by halftime. I got sad and mute. I was so down bad. Last year, I get like angry during it, and then once like it starts to set in, then I just like
scroll Twitter and
no, I can't. I haven't looked at Twitter in like 24 hours.
So the good.
Well, here's the problem with Twitter: it's 14-year-olds, and you're trying to fucking.
No, that's not true.
It's not true.
No, I think most of the people I find are adults.
You are so sorely
Most of the
mistaken.
Tottenham people I follow,
You're
think are
so
adults.
sorely mistaken. You can tell.
The good thing about
you can tell when they say certain things that.
The good thing about us right now is like, there's still like. Most people still have the realities of like who we are, so it's not like you guys are in a full-on title race, so it's like extremely serious.
Also for you, like
we are still a joke, and I think most people understand we're still a joke for the next couple of years.
That, what's invert the wing? You know that account?
Yeah, he's super serious. You see, he tweeted, if you're gonna come at the king, don't miss.
You realize
and people are like, who's the king?
He's like a parody of this Arsenal Tactico.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, he was right. They did come at us, and then was followed up by 2 losses.
Have you seen some of his tweets?
No, about this.
He thinks every single Tottenham player is the best player in the world.
No, I'm talking about the singular tweet where he was like, everyone was coming at me because of the Newcastle game, and then both lost title matches.
Oh, so it's because everyone was coming at this parody account on Twitter that we lost to Villa?
No. I'm just saying he was right. Like, if
was
you're going
right.
to come at him over the Newcastle...
Invert the wing. You're the GOAT.
No.
You're the motherfucking GOAT.
Yeah, people are still making jokes about...
Yeah, the thing with Tottenham is that literally you could come 5th and you won't know until after the Champions League final if you're in Champions League. How crazy is that? It's the first time that'll ever happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
There's a very solid chance. There's an above 50%
Is that
chance.
true? If Bayern win, Leverkusen win, and Liverpool don't pull it back, I assume it's just over. All we have is City left. If City wins the Champions League, does that make the difference?
Villa, West Ham. Villa. One English team won this week. Who won? Villa.
Oh, Villa's still in Europe, right? Did they win?
West Ham lost to Leverkusen.
Yes.
Liverpool lost at Atlanta. City drew. We drew. Aston Villa won.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
But
I'd imagine. I mean, if Dortmund beats Atletico, nightmare.
Yeah. Germany and Italy are above England in the coefficient, correct?
I don't know how you did more research in it.
No, well, Atalanta, worst case scenario was Atalanta knocking out Liverpool because Italy's getting more coefficient in Liverpool.
Do you get more, like...
Every win, you get more. Every round.
Like, if Italy advances, like, 3 teams this round...
3 points.
And so, if City win the title, it's not worth more than 1 point?
No.
That's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah, it's not. Well, the issue, we had this discussion, but the issue is if you were to do it like winning the Champions League is worth more, then it would be impossible for any team any country to ever rise up the coefficient rankings because they'd be stuck with fewer points.
So like a Dutch team winning the Conference League gives them the opportunity
to move up,
similar to where City winning the Champions League. I actually don't hate that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I think that's fair.
At first I was like this,
but I feel like their goal should be still trying to. I understand that, but I feel like their ultimate goal should still be trying to get the best teams.
Well, they are doing that by making it they made it a Super League with the table. You know, it's completely different.
Yeah, no, I know. April 15th, Americans Abroad update. We have a huge one because Giovanni Reyna got his first start for Nottingham Forest in their 2-2 draw and picked up an assist off of a beautiful corner kick. And he should probably be taking corner kicks for the USMNT this summer at the Copa America. In the Netherlands, Malik Tillman scored for PSV in their 6-0 rout at the weekend after a brilliant cross from Serginho Dest. Yunus Musa in Italy weekend fixtures and did not record a goal involvement for the first time in a while, but AC Milan is exploring a contract extension that will keep him in Milan until 2028. Anthony Robinson started and played the full 90 in Fulham's 2-0 win over West Ham. Trusty started and played the full 90 for Sheffield in their 2-0 loss to Brentford. Johnny Cardoso started and played the full 90 for Betis in their 2-1 win. Weston McKennie for Juve started and played the full 90 in Juve's 0-0 draw. And Brendan Aronson got the start for Union Berlin, which makes 3 straight starts for Brendan in the Bundesliga. Not the craziest goal involvement update. Nothing from Balogun, nothing from Haji Wright, nothing from Josh Sargent. But overall, 90 minutes logged in Europe. Another good week for the Americans. And if Gio Reyna continues to play well and get the starts for Nottingham Forest, he is a shoo-in for the USMNT at the Copa America. All right. TBD on if we're getting a live watch-along for the Champions League. I would honestly want nothing more because it's like, honestly, a win-win.
The issue is we can't do it here because they do Trivia Wednesdays here. So
I would reserve the space just to have that opportunity. No, we could sit right there. They already have a camera set up. It would be perfect. So TBD on that because it's a win-win for me. I don't really care if Bayern win. I just want them to win. And like you said, the UEFA coefficient, it would be good. But if Arsenal lose that match, if Kane puts on a 2-goal display to knock out Arsenal, there's literally nothing sweeter in the entire world.
No, I mean, it's so great because Bayern already, only chance of winning a trophy for Kane is the Champions League. So if we get to knock him out and he goes to Bayern and doesn't win a trophy, I mean, that is just, this sums up his career. A dirty fucking rat who can't win shit because he's a little bitch.
So when I said earlier that it was an agenda
that's Yanks
that he
Abroad.
was pushing.
Thank you very much for listening. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, like, comment. You can find us on socials. We're on TikTok and Instagram, Twitter as well. Some of you follow me at Hail End Productions. See Set13 on Twitter, TikTok, the whole thing. Make sure to sub. We'll see you either Wednesday for the watch along or next week. Peace.